forgot to do that. And then not everyone gets to see it. And then everyone hates my guts. So let me see here. There we are. Edit privacy, public. Booyah. Booyakasha. We're on there. Excellent. Okay. So we're live. We'll give people a few. What are you drinking there, Dave?
I am drinking a nice, clean summer ale, Victoria.
You like
Mexican beer?
I love Mexican beer.
Yeah, it's a real clean, refreshing, nothing crazy. It's down there. I mean, it's like, a premier beer down there. Here, it's just kind of a normal beer. But yeah, Victoria, great beer.
Yeah, I love everything. Hey, Terry, what's going on, buddy? I love everything Mexican. Love it. I spent 4 years on the Southwest border when I started my career. Recently, I was down there in Las Cruces for 45 days last year.
I was following you, and you were eating everything under the sun, man.
Oh, I love it, Dave.
But it's easy to do. That's easy to do, man.
Man, I love Texas. I am a Texan by heart, man. All right, we got a lot of people signing on. I don't know if you can see the comments.
I know I don't get to. It kind of sucks.
I know there's something you could hit. I don't know what it is, but as we go along, I'll pop up the questions and stuff.
Okay, cool.
You're going to have a lot of people on here. People are just like me. I'm a big fan of what you do. I absolutely am crazy about everything you do. I think you're one of the most important people in dog training because you do so much. I don't know how you find the time to do as much as you do. And you're honest, you're straight up, and you don't bullshit people.
Yeah, but you're the same way. You're the same way. And I always, whenever your name comes up, I call you the hardest working man in dog business because I mean, as far as maybe when you're not on social media, you're doing nothing. But for man, you are a busy man.
Well, you know what? I am, and here's the good thing for me. I've been doing both the federal agent job and dog training, both full time for a really long time. I'm exhausted. But as of February 12th, I am retired from the government and I am a happy man. And
wonderful. Congratulations, man.
Thank you. I can't wait. Hopefully I don't die before then to enjoy it. I don't want to jinx myself, But yeah. I want to get back to training my own dogs. Okay. Before we get started, we got like over 100 people already watching. And I
apologize that I don't get to see names and say hi, but hi to everyone all over the world. I know people are watching from down under, New Zealand, Australia, everywhere in Europe. And of course, everybody here in the States. So I don't get to see your names and give a shout out, but thanks for being here tonight.
Within a couple of hours, there'll be a few thousand people that see this. Okay. I'm not going to ask you to introduce yourself because I think if you train dogs and you don't know who you are, you don't deserve to be on here right now. You're a moron. So get off and go look at something else. The other thing is I can't understand. You provide the best bargain in dog training. Your channel, your subscription there that I am a customer of, I pay my $10 a month to be one of your gold subscribers. As far as I'm concerned, it's the best bargain in dog training. And if we don't get 500 people to sign up with that tonight, I think we fail. Honestly, Dave, and what you did for me, we talked a little bit before we came on, but this is going to be about you tonight, and I'm going to give it to you here in a minute. I don't get to train my own dogs. I just don't. I don't have time. I sleep very little and I stay busy, because I have active kids, I have a family, and I'm never going to push my family aside. So between clients and work, I don't get to train my own dogs. When I became a subscriber of your channel, it gave me that little bit of fire. Hey, Bill, to get back to working with my dogs a little. And what I appreciate about what you do so much, First of all, you do everything. I don't know how you must have a very patient wife because you do.
She's out in the back with the horses and goats. I don't even see her.
And you don't only do everything, but you do everything at a world-class level. And I don't know if people understand what it takes to be there. I know what it takes to be there, and it's mind-blowing to me, okay? But at the same time, the way you train is what I love so much. It is so simple, it is so basic, and you push the basic fundamentals without a ton of punishment in such a high way. I hope more people start to see what you can do with, you listen, you're training really high drive dog. Your own dog is a beast, right?
Oh yeah, he got me the other day on my thumb right here.
I saw that.
No big deal, but yeah, they got some fire.
But yet the clicker is your best friend. You're very honest about punishment. You use it, but because you're a world-class trainer, you're not using a ton of punishment. I thought the 3 videos you did on the e-collar stuff was absolutely fantastic, and I think it was much needed from someone like you to talk about that stuff. And I hope some of the big names out there, that do what you do kind of in the working dog side start promoting and talking about that stuff more often, because we need it. We need people like you to be honest about it. You talked about how you teach it, which was fantastic. Wasn't much different than what I do. Mm-hmm. But I think more importantly, you talked about the punishment side of things, which was totally honest and completely appropriate. And I thought that was, really fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you for doing that.
It took me many, many years thinking, how do I do this? When's the right time? It was never a secret. Do I use, positive punishment in my training or corrections, whatever the word is you want to use? It was, how am I going to put it out there, right? So I just woke up one day and said, hell, I'm going to go for it. I'll do a blog first. I'll do a live, Facebook Live, kind of prep everybody. And I gave what I could give. People want to know how I use it. I don't know how
right.
I use it in a lot of different ways. And since I did that video with Hector, who got conditioned to the collar in those videos, I'm trying to think of, he wears it every day. It's live every day. I may have used it in a little bit of healing for a little bit of command amplification with some left turns, and that's it.
Right.
That I don't need to punish him a lot. He wants to be there working, right? Everyone sees the dog. The dog wants to work, and if he makes a mistake, it's normally a communication or lack of understanding. So, but I'm glad you appreciate it. I'm going to probably do some more videos on that type of stuff, whether it's prong collars or whatever in the future. But I always have to think how I'm going to approach it, because very well, once we start talking about it, we're the bad guys.
Yeah, sure. Well, listen, I just got done with a private lesson right before we started this, and I did it outside of a dog park, working with an awesome lady with her dog. And, we're in that intermittent phase of working with the e-collar. But I think out of the hour, I think we did 5 minutes of e-collar work, before I make her put it away. And the one thing that I wanted to stress in the video, and I literally just posted it, we kind of set the dog up to fail, sending the dog away to her to hit a place board, and then kind of teasing the dog to make the dog break it. But I wanted to make sure people saw we're not punishing that. I'm allowing the dog to make the mistake. I don't want the dog ever to be scared to make a mistake.
Right.
And we stop the dog and say, no, Luna, this is what we want you to do. And it took 1 repetition for the dog to catch on. And I wanted to show people that, because so many of these young trainers in the pet dog world that use the e-collars, right away, what they would have done, because they follow other trainers, is blast the dog with the e-collar.
Right.
And you destroy the relationship and the trust the second you do that, And so, I've been screaming this from the mountaintops for years, but like I told you earlier, I'm a nobody. I'm nobody. I have nothing to show for it. Some people are going to believe me, others aren't. But there is nothing that you don't do in the dog world. So for you to step up and start talking about that, I was like, oh man, thank God. I appreciate it so much. $10 for your freaking channel. I don't understand why every dog trainer out there is not. I pay my $10. I'm a student. I am a lifelong student, and what I tell all the pet dog trainers that I work with that think I know everything, I tell them if I had to estimate, I think I know somewhere between 5 and 10% of what there is to know in dog training. And if I do this for the next 20 or 30 years, God willing that I live that long, hopefully I get to 50, 60% of knowing as much as I can about this incredible animal, And like I said, you're just one of the guys that are putting stuff out there that I need people to focus on. Pet dog trainers need to follow extraordinary working dog people, and you're one of them, Dave. So thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Where do you think, and we'll get to the questions here in a second. You're big in the IGP world. Okay.
Yep.
That's where I first knew you from. I think I first saw you in person. When did you compete in Bowling Green? Was that 2015?
Oh God, I've been to Bowling Green over the last 20 years. They have championships there all the time. Or they
Yeah, I
used
think
to.
it was the
It was
AWDF in
Yeah, it was about
2015.
15 probably. 15. That was
Yeah,
probably the last time that they had it there.
yeah, I loved watching it. I watched what you did there, and I'm just like I said, I'm a big fan of that stuff. What dog did you have for that?
2015. I was at the 2015 I'm trying to think what year that world champion. I either had a dog named Anton or I
I
had a
think
dog named Archer. I think it was Anton though.
I thought it was Anton, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
But it was great to watch, And now you have Hector. How old was Hector when you got him?
He was 8 months old. I got him around December 12th of 2019 at 8 months old.
Okay, so someone at your level, Dave, that competes to win a world championship, because I'm assuming that's your goal every time you start working with a new dog. Okay, you're
Yeah.
okay. That's
That's the
tell me
only goal I have.
Beautiful. You get Hector. He's 8 or 9 months old, whatever he is. The first 2 weeks, 3 weeks to a month, what are you doing with Hector?
Before I tell you that, Hector's full name is Hector von Warkenhaus, and I want to thank Amanda Homan, who is the breeder of him from Warkenhaus Kennels, who gave me the opportunity to work with him, because at that moment I had no IGP dog. I do French ring. I have my Malinois, Irie, who I was actively competing with, and I was taking a small, short hiatus from IGP. And I always found when I try to find a dog, it never works. But when I sit back and wait for one to fall out of a tree, they fall into my lap.
Sure.
And that's what happened with every dog that I've competed with. So I want to thank Amanda for giving me the opportunity to work with Hector. So Hector, when I got him 8 months old, the question was, when I get him, what's the first thing that I do?
Yes.
That was it. So I spend a lot of time, whether it's a puppy or a young dog, and Hector didn't really know anything. He was brought up very well with Amanda. She did great, for lack of better words, socializing, and he didn't really need drive building. He had drive. But I teach the dogs how to learn. I teach them how to be an active thinker, how to be an active participant in the training. I try to teach them the contract between secondary reinforcer, cue, and behavior, and that whole thing, and reward, and how to play with toys. I don't do what everybody thinks. And, you know, a lot of people, when they get a dog for IGP, they're like, oh, I got to teach sit, down, stand, plots, retrieve. The first many months, I'm just teaching the dog how to learn through a lot of different games and how to be operant.
Sure. Love that.
If
Absolutely.
that makes any sense. And for some people, it might not make sense, but, you know, I'm also creating a little bit of a lab rat too.
Well,
So.
here's the thing, Dave. For some people, it won't make sense because a lot of people don't understand the process of teaching the dog to learn. Okay. And so when I take a board and train here, pet dog, okay, we're
Absolutely.
talking pet dog. Dog comes into me, I keep it for a minimum of a month. I spend the first few days doing absolutely nothing except spending time with the dog. He starts to understand that I'm the greatest thing in the world. He needs me. Okay.
Right.
What I tell people is when they're done with a month to 5 weeks to 6 weeks and I give it back to the owner, that's just the beginning. The only thing I did was teach the dog how to learn and lay a foundation with the basics. That's it. The real work starts when I pass the dog off to the owner and I start the owner education, because without it, I have nothing.
Right.
In the pet dog world, I have nothing if I can't educate the owners to a fairly high level, how not only to keep the process going, but to increase it and make it better. So with you saying you teach the dog how to learn, I think it's one of the most important things that people overlook and don't pay attention. All right, Dave will be right back on, guys. Sorry about that. All right, guys, he'll hopefully here he comes. He'll be back in here in a second. There
I am
he is.
back. There we
All
are.
right, there you are. Made me nervous. I just had to tell my little boy he had to get offline. We have to save the Wi-Fi. I don't know if that makes a difference, but I think it does, But yeah, teaching the dog to learn. And what's the first aspect? He's your IGP dog. What's the first thing you're focusing on with him after he starts to understand how to learn? How do you feed the dog, Dave, on a daily basis?
Yeah, that's a great question, because apparently it's kind of what I think is very simple. People still have a hard time grasping, but the first thing that I work on with a dog or teach a dog, and it's not just for IGP. If I have a dog, not only a performance dog, and remember, I do I do French ring, Mondio ring, IGP, AKC obedience, nose work, whatever, detection work. I spent a life doing police dogs and all that. I teach the dogs how to operantly target something, and that something is a table. So very simply, the dog learns how in an operant chamber to get up on a table, get a bridge, secondary reinforcer, which for me is a click, and come back to me for a reward. The dog moves away from me. The dog knows that I have the reward, does the behavior away from me, gets a secondary reinforcer, and comes back to me for reward. And I want to teach the dog to do that with no command.
Love it.
It's just a lab rat. It's a lab rat in the cage, hitting the lever, getting a piece of cheese or cocaine or whatever rats get,
Sure.
that type of thing. So that way the dog's immediately learning it can be in charge of its own destiny. It's learning the contract between behavior, secondary reinforcer, and reward. And it's learning how to learn and be active.
And the funny thing is, Dave, I do the same exact thing with pet dogs with minimal drive.
Right. I do the same thing with them too.
With minimal drive, and it brings out the best in the dog. you know, and instead of suppressing the dog, the pet dog world, that's what a lot of people are used to doing. You know, what I try to tell these pet dog trainers that I work with, if you can treat every single pet dog you get like a working dog. If you can get the dog to bite, get it to bite. You know, if you can get it to play, get it to play. If you can get it to go away from you to get a reward, do it. And that's why I think it's so important for these pet dog trainers to work with people like you and other phenomenal people. You know, I said the same thing when I had Wallace on here, Wallace Payne. You know, I just, it's real important for me. You know, I want to push the pet dog people in that direction, in your direction, in the direction of Wallace and Ivan and Tobias and all these working dog people and Bart. They're going to learn a lot more than they could ever expect just to working on your, you know, so-called pet dog world stuff.
Right.
And you know, so when people ask me, why are you getting that dog to look like that? You know, well, I'm not treating it like a pet dog. I'm treating it like a working dog. And I'm just trying to bring out the best of every dog, you know, every single dog. It doesn't mean it's going to look like my Malinois, you know.
Right.
I
And
just
we're not trying to get it to, but we're just trying to open the you know, the channel for some fun, some learning. And one interesting thing is, you know, even though my whole career I've done performance dogs and service dogs and that type of thing, you know, for years my bread and butter was companion dogs. We still do that here. I don't really do a lot of it. My trainer does and my wife does. But think about this. Every time, or most of the time, 99% of the time, when you deal with somebody with their companion dog, they're coming to you with the bad things that the dog does, right?
That's right.
And I always want to say, you know what? Okay, tell me about something good it does. Tell me 5 good things that it does. And let's try to turn this around. And, you know, I know it's maybe reactive and I know it does that and I know it does that. But have you ever really thought of like rewarding and giving a huge reward history for the good things? And they never really thought. All they're thinking is the bad shit, the bad shit, the bad shit.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that. And that's that working dog mentality. So Nick is asking you, Dave, you may want to go into more detail on the clicker so that dog comes to you. Do you just load the clicker or do you move yourself away in order for the dog to break position to come to you, initially speaking?
You know, I get that question a lot. Let me talk about loading the clicker. Obviously, it's a bridge. It's a secondary reinforcer. You know, you could use a word. You can use verbal. I prefer a clicker. You can use different audible sounds. Marine trainers use whistles, stuff like that. But the clicker or any bridge means nothing to the animal until it's paired with something, right? So we used to think, well, we've got to load the clicker. So we're just going to sit there and go click food, click food, click food. And after 30, 40 times, the dog will understand. It hears the click and it receives food. But honestly, I just start like doing that targeting to the table and they learn what the clicker is literally in, you know, 1 minute. So I'm not doing an actual loading of the clicker. I'm starting my training and the dog learns the clicker as we go. So I know that was part of his question, but what was the other part? He was asking about loading the clicker.
Yeah, I think that was the gist of the. It's funny you say that, Dave, because I know a lot of people will say they don't name something until the dog's doing it really well. I've played around with different things. I'm always experimenting, and on my end, what I've learned is if you start naming it right away before it's perfect, the dog still learns it. You know,
they're still going to learn it.
It doesn't make much of a difference, you know. So, was IGP the first dog sport you got into? Is that what brought you in?
No, actually, agility.
No kidding.
Yeah, I had a little border collie mix, and I was competing at a fairly high level of agility, and I wanted to do IGP. I didn't have a dog, and then when I ended up getting a dog, and I was competing in agility, and anyone that does high level agility, like to be able to go to nationals and world championships, you are competing every weekend.
Sure.
Every weekend you're competing to get enough points and this and that. And I was just like, I don't want to keep doing this every weekend. I like doing it, but there's other stuff that I like to do. Having to travel every single weekend for an agility trial. And I have to be honest, the agility crowd wasn't really my crowd.
Right.
So I'm sitting there, on the road for a weekend by myself in a culture that it wasn't really fun for me. So when I got my first IGP dog, I kind of let the agility thing go to the wayside and went nuts with those days called Schutzhund or IPO.
Who was your first Schutzhund dog?
Oh, my first Dax Van Meerhout from Meerhout Kennels here in Hutto, Texas. A dog bred and trained in the United States. It might have been one of the first bred and trained from a puppy in the United States to go to a world championship from America. It may have been one of the first, yeah. And that was in 2000. If I look on my wall, 2001, I believe, either in Slovenia or maybe 2002 in Italy. He had a good 2 to 3 year run, went to 2 or 3 world championships in a row. My first IGP dog.
No kidding. So
Yeah.
you took your first IGP dog to a world championship.
Yep.
That's fucking insane. That's unbelievable. Like,
but I had a good support crew. Where I worked, we had a good solid club. We were all super hungry. When I moved here to Hutto, I have to be honest, Austin is a very cool town to live in. But when I moved here and helped open up this company, Hutto was only 500, 600, 800 people.
right.
It was a tiny, small town. So there wasn't shit to do here. We were just training, getting this big, huge company business running. And we had our dog sport club. So, some very good friends of mine that some of you may know, Rob Dunn and Jesse Dunn, who have a facility, Dog Works Academy, down the road. We all worked together. We had a club, and we were all training at high level. And that
was that with your first dog? Is that who you were training with your first dog?
Yeah, that club. Well, there's still the club. I'm still in that club, Lone Star Schutzhund Club.
Yeah, I heard you mention. I was listening to one of your podcasts the other day, and I heard you talking about them. You had the woman on. I forget her name. Guys, $10 a month. If you don't subscribe to Dave's channel, you're an idiot. If you train dogs, listen. I'm very successful on the business end of things with dog training. I do okay. Okay. I pay $10 a month to be a student. That's what I think of this guy right here. Okay. And if you're not, you're an absolute idiot. He's a wealth of knowledge, and it's the best $10 you can spend in dog training, period. You could definitely jack up the price, Dave, and do real well.
I really don't want to. I don't want to.
Yeah, and I think it's absolutely insane that you have to subscribe to Dave's channel. I love it. I'm very excited to pay my $10 a month. So
Larry, I get real humbled when you talk about the website, because for me, that was a very organic creation. I want to talk a little bit, if you don't mind, about it.
This is your show, Dave. You go ahead, buddy.
So, as a dog trainer, and you're a dog trainer too, we're educators, right? We're educators, sure, with whatever we do. And, midpoint through my career, I was asked to do some DVDs, a DVD series on what I do. And I hooked up and went under contract with a production company, and we did a series of DVDs, and you can still find them out there. And they're great. They won tons of awards for production. They're incredibly beautifully produced. The thing I didn't like about them is we had a plan to do a number of series, and it was kind of never ending because of all the stuff I do, from nose work to ring to IGP, sure, blah, blah, blah. But we weren't moving quick enough. And what I was finding is my training is always evolving. And it was a very weird, eerie feeling to know, okay, we completed a DVD. The information on that is now dead. It has no more life in it. It is not breathing. And I come from I was a musician before I was a dog trainer. And I feel like when that DVD was sitting there dead and my training was still evolving, I'm like, that don't feel right. Not that there was anything wrong with the DVD, but I'm like, well, that was last week, or that was last month, that was last year. And I've evolved and moved. And even though it was still relevant, hey, I've got a new way to do something. You can even watch some of those DVDs. You can see how long in between, like part 1 and part 2, because in one of them, I was probably 30 to 40 pounds heavier.
You fat ass.
Yeah. So I, and then so in one of the early ones, I was like 199, 200. And then in the later ones, I was like, 160, 150. So I was like, I don't like it because my training has to breathe. It has to live. Right. And I kept thinking, how could I do this? How could I do this? How could I do this? I'm like, I'm going to do a website, an instructional website. It'll be like Netflix. And what I want to be able to do is give people ideas, because there's no Schutzen or IGP step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that don't exist. Even though there are books, I could name some, and I could do a book like that also, but it's not reality. Reality, it's ideas, and I want to teach people how to understand applied behavior, how to understand learning theory, and then give you ideas, because there's a million ways to do something. And the honest to God truth, what I did yesterday with Hector, I may have the new improved way tomorrow. And I want to give that to you, right? Sure. I want you to see it and go, yeah, I twisted that, and this is what we came up with. So when you say, the website is really cool and all the praise, it really makes me feel good. It makes me feel probably better than this office full of trophies, because I wanted to communicate with people. Now I know it's overwhelming, the website, and people are always like, where do I start? And I'm like, it's a journey, man. Just start exploring. Yeah. It's a journey, it's a daily grind. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. So thank you again for, giving it praise, because I love it. It's moving, it's growing, it's breathing, it's a living thing, the information, and it makes me feel good.
Well, I tell you what, Dave, my own dogs heal very nicely. Okay. They heal really nicely. I don't work them. I don't train them. When I went to your channel and signed up, I went back to the clicker, which I love working the clicker. It's just fun. I really do. Both of my dogs that I do healing with got better instantly, because I went, even though I preach the basics constantly to everyone, I really went back to the basics with your stuff, and I stopped moving forward, and I waited till I got all the positions perfect without moving, because of your stuff. I really did. And so the best thing about your stuff was the kick in the ass it gave me. Even though I preached the basics, I went back even further than I thought I had to, and I really enjoyed it, and my dogs grew from it. They really did. Mango, my young female, she's just a cool family dog. Her healing got so much better. Even though it was good, it got so much better because I stopped moving forward, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, absolutely it does.
And it was literally straight because of your videos. Her front got better. The method you use with the corner, I don't do that. I never did. I do a lot of luring, but I've never used that very uncomfortable position with using the corner. And it sucked for her at first. She was like, whoa, this is weird.
It sucks for every dog. My dogs hate it, but I showed Hector. I showed the first day I was doing it with Hector on the Facebook page. I wanted everybody to realize, look, Hector hated it too. But 3 days later, he's running to the freaking corner, man,
Same thing with mine. And as soon as I took her out of the corner, it made everything a little better. And for me, I don't know how I've ever gotten a voice in this industry where people trust me, and I've gotten a little bit of popularity, but it's never been about the money or selling anything. I truly love the art of dog training. I really do. I absolutely love it. And so when I see something, whether I do it on my own or I see it from somebody else, I'm going to share it, and that's what your channel provided. I absolutely loved it. And because of that, it definitely made all of my dogs better, even though I very rarely get to work with them. And when I see when I see a young trainer following someone, I talked to someone the other day, pet dog trainer, great guy, doing a good job, working real hard. His heart is in the right place. But I saw what he was doing wasn't very good. And it wasn't because he had bad intentions. It was literally just because he was following the wrong person,
Yeah,
and
it
that's
can
what this,
happen.
yeah. And that's because of social media. That's what this has
Yep.
become. And if you follow the wrong person, even though your intentions are fantastic and you think what you're doing is good, sometimes it's not always that good. And rarely I'll speak up and say anything. I just keep to myself. I've learned, mind your business, worry about yourself. But if I know someone truly has a good heart and wants to get better, I may send them a private message and say, listen, I know you think you're doing a great job here and your heart's in the right place, but I don't tell them, hey, follow me. I don't do that.
Right.
Never. I say,
I
follow Ivan, follow Dave Kroyer, follow Bart Balone, follow Tobias Olenek. I send them to people that are succeeding in the working dog world. Does that make sense?
Oh, 100%. 100%. I want to one other thing about the website. Like, I know it's very performance dog oriented, right? And a lot of people from the companion side, the pet training side, they go, well, there's nothing there for me. And I'm like, no, there is. There really is. Even if you just
Mm-hmm.
listen to the lectures on applied behavior, the stuff about 3 stages of learning and ways to shape behavior, blah, blah, blah. And I've got videos on how to teach a dog to sit down. I mean, I know you don't need a perfect concertina down or a tuck sit, but it's still a sit or down. I mean,
Sure.
I realize and I may do this in the future. Hell, I may even fly over by you and we do something together. I've not really talked about like reactive aggression, right? And we
Mm-hmm.
know that's I don't know how much you get that. Listen, that's 90% of the calls, half the time, even if it's
Sure.
just stupidity and reactive barking when they're out on a leash. The reason I don't talk about it, it's absolutely it bores me. I don't find it like it's not it's not this crazy mystical unicorn. Why is it happening? Listen, who cares why it's happening? It's happening. The dog made a
Sure.
choice, and we can. This is how we can get around it. I don't have anything on the site about that. People beg me to, and maybe I will in the future, but there's a lot there for even a companion dog owner. Plus, I've got all those, my top 10 potty training videos, my top 10 potty training tips. It is an awesome video. There's some funny humor to it. I've got teach your dog to go to place, teach your dog come when called, teach your dog to go in a crate. Those are all free videos I give out to the public, free,
Sure.
to watch. So
Yeah.
I do believe, even if you're not in the performance dog world, that there's something there for you. And hell,
Yeah.
there's a free 7-day trial. Frick, check it out, man. Why
Well,
not?
you said something the other day, Dave. I don't know if someone asked you directly or if you were speaking on a group. I don't remember, but you were 100% right. And this is what I deal with on a daily basis. And I dealt with an hour ago. The reactivity, basically what you said is, listen, that's a relationship
Yeah,
problem.
right.
And you're,
100%.
I couldn't agree with that more. And I literally posted a video of a private lesson outside of a dog park. an hour and a half ago where I kind of address that and talk about that because it's something I see on a daily basis.
Yep.
Okay. And people always want to turn to punishment. I don't do a lot of punishing in dog training. I'm not a purely positive trainer, but I don't do a lot of punishing.
Right.
And when I find myself with a specific dog that maybe I will test the waters with some punishment, it never works out well. I mean, it never, ever works out well, you know? And so when you say it's only working dog people that, you know, I totally, oh, don't go nowhere, Dave. There you are.
It was a phone call.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, it's really important that people understand that. You there, Dave? Come on, Dave, come back to me. You've got too many people on here for you to leave. Sorry, guys. Dave is in Hutto, Texas. I don't know how much activity we have there, but he'll be back on in a second. And we'll get to some of your questions here on the original post. I'm going to go to it right now and find it because we have too many people on here not to answer the questions that you asked Dave. You know, this is a good time to ask him questions. I'm going to pull it up right now. All right, here we are. I'm pulling the questions up. Newest. Let's go to him. He'll be back on here, guys. Give him a second. Okay. All right, we'll start from here. First question we had for Dave. He'll be back here in a second. He'll come on. There he is. He's coming in.
Oh,
there,
good Lord.
There you are. All right, Dave.
Okay.
Judy asked you,
Sorry about that.
No, you're fine. How about setting appropriate expectations, goals for young puppies? Just basics, i.e. manners, basic obedience, maintaining the sit or down for how much time? 13-week-old English Shepherd in my case. Thank you.
Okay, I have zero expectations, none.
I love that.
I hope they can maybe hold their bladder and not poop in the crate for 2 to 3 hours, if possible. Other than that, I have zero expectations, none. I don't even, like we just talked about maybe 15 minutes ago, I want to teach a puppy how to learn. And they are not in an environment, I control the environment, so they can never do no wrong. They can never get into trouble.
That's the most important thing right there.
Right.
Avoid the problems. Don't let them get into the problems. Pet dog world, working dog world, don't give them the opportunity to get into the problems to where you have to fix the bad behaviors.
Right.
You know, that's.
And we're talking about what, a 13-week-old? Was it 13-week-old?
Yeah, that's it.
You're talking about sit stays and down stays?
That's it.
I don't. I do sit stays and down stays when the dog is like. For me, now listen, if it's a pet client coming to me with a sick, we may work on it, but I have no expectations until the dog's like 12 months old.
That's it.
Yeah, maybe they can go to the place and hang out for a minute or two, but a 13-week, I hope they eat and live another day and poop and pee. That's my.
That's it. That's it.
And like to play.
Yeah. Okay, my buddy.
Expectations.
My buddy Terry McCormick, who breeds some nice German Shepherds up there in Massachusetts, he says, Dave, what are your thoughts on over-glorification of trainers underserving by professional training organizations, mainly speaking of inexperienced trainers and trainers that have been over-glorified by these organizations for a long time?
Help me with that, Larry. What organizations are we speaking of? Like what kind? We don't have to say names, but
yeah, he's not mentioning any. Knowing Terry is a lot like you. He has very high expectations. He's has very high character in the dog world. He breeds absolutely incredible dogs, incredible shepherds. I've been fortunate enough to have one of them here a lot. And I love what he does. but he's pretty much old school and has a lot of character when it comes to putting people on a pedestal, and so I don't know what organization he's talking about. I think it's probably just putting people in a place of authority that shouldn't be, and maybe doing a little harm to the industry on both sides, pet dog and working dog side.
Yeah, I mean, there's always harm to that, right? I mean,
Sure.
not only forget organizations, social media. You can now be a professional. You could have if you could have a better. Listen, I don't do Instagram a lot. I have Instagram. I mean,
yeah.
I've got maybe 3,000-4,000 followers. I put more of my mountain bike stuff on it than dog stuff, but I can't keep up with some of these young kids.
Yeah.
20, 30, 40, 50, 100,000 followers. I'm going, wait, who's this person?
Yeah.
Like, no clue who this is, but they're the new next thing in dog training, right? Because they're on Instagram social media is more dangerous than organizations for it. I mean, you know that as well as I do, that you could have a very strong social media presence and be valuable like you are. Or you could have a very, very strong social media presence and be garbage, right?
Yeah.
It's the blind leading the blind sometimes. And that's part of the dangers of it. So anytime there's a trainer over glorified from an organization or social media, because, you say, I'm the new king, and everybody goes, yes, sir, you're the new king. Google's a real nice tool. Google a name, you see what comes up. People forget about that. Someone wants to boast themselves as a great trainer. All you got to do is Google their name. I mean, you Google your name, you have a lot of stuff that comes up. You Google my name, you got about 50 pages of shit that comes in the middle of this. There we go.
Well, Dave, I talked to a lot of young. Hey, where'd you go? What happened? He'll be back. Hang on there, guys. Don't be impatient. He'll be back. Give him a second. I love this. I'm a big fan of Dave. Like, I am a true fan of Dave Kroyer. Guys, please go check out his page. $10 a month. I think it's free for 7 days. You won't leave it. This guy is great. He's a phenomenal dog trainer. He really is. A wealth of knowledge and well worth the $10 a month. Happy Baby Friday, everyone. There he is.
Another one of these. And I told that person, stop calling me.
There you are. You're back. You're back on there. I had a good question for you, and I totally forgot. Kathy Waller says, "How do you think your agility background complemented your IGP work?"
Forget IGP. How did it complement maybe my ring sport work? Because if you've ever seen French ring or Mondial ring, the jumps are extreme, absolutely extreme. They make the IGP stuff look like child's play. So it had doing agility had a huge influence on me in obviously jumping, teaching dogs how to jump, and the use of body pressure and handling at a distance. That was another huge thing, especially dealing with herding dogs, because dealing with border collies and even Australian shepherds, those type of dogs, they respond to body pressure at a distance. And understanding how that worked helped me a lot with the training and handling with these dogs in these other sports at a distance.
All right, Dave, this is a question from me. You have an opportunity to go to a world championship, IGP, okay? You have to pick one dog to go in there. You going with a German Shepherd or a Malinois?
What world championship am I going to?
IGP World Championship.
Okay, there's a few of them though, because there's a German Shepherd World Championship, which would require, I mean,
all working dogs.
I would I've been to the FCI, which is all breed, and
Sure.
I've been to the WUSB, which is the German Shepherd. In my
FCI.
heart, it's the WUSB.
I kind of assumed you would say that. I kind of thought you would say that.
Because I'm a German Shepherd guy, even though I have Malinois. But
what do you like better about the Shepherd than the Malinois?
Man, there's nothing. I own them both. I do both sports with, I do ring with my Malinois. I do IGP with my Shepherd. My goal is always to go to the WUSB, the German Shepherd World Championship. I've always had Shepherds. I grew up with them. Like, I don't know if you ever grew up with a breed.
Sure.
They weren't even working dogs that I grew up with. So I've always got that in my heart, from an IGP standpoint, it's kind of, it was originally a Shepherd sport, right?
Yeah.
If we trace it back to the WUSB. That being said, I mean, I would train it. I will not answer that question. Which one's better, a Malinois or Shepherd?
All right, I'm going to put you on the spot here
but
now.
I would go to the WSB, German Shepherd World Championship.
I'm going to put you on the spot here. You're a breeder, either Malinois or German Shepherd, okay? You have the best dog you ever
Lord,
bred.
what is that?
You're a breeder.
Hold on, Larry.
What happened?
Everything. Can you hear me right now?
Yeah, I hear you fine.
Yeah, everything was breaking up for about a minute, so I missed your whole last question. I don't know if it's cell service or whatever.
All right, so you're a breeder. Malinois, German Shepherd, it doesn't matter. You can't train the dog. You have to give it to one trainer to go to a world championship. Who's the trainer you're picking?
Whoo, that's a tough one. Are we talking about the quote Schutzen IGP World Championship?
Yes. That's putting you on the spot.
Here's a problem because there's 3 phases, and there's people that I like in each phase.
Okay, tracking. Give me the tracking trainer.
A big influence in me. God, there's 2. There's 2 for that.
Give me 2. Give me 2.
Wallace Payne and T. Floyd for tracking. T.
Nice.
Floyd, a very underrated trainer. The young people have no idea who he is. They should know who he is. He doesn't do social media, keeps to himself, and one of the most brilliant trainers you've ever seen. So T. Floyd, Wallace Payne for tracking.
I tell you what, I reached out to T. Floyd to come on here, and I haven't heard back from him.
You may not, man. You might not. Like, maybe I'll give him a little push. I am still here, so do not hang up. I'm here.
All right.
Okay, we're not finishing. We're not ending. We may end with this question, but I'm going to keep going.
All right. So listen, I reached out to T. Floyd to come on here. I haven't heard back. So I love that you said T. Floyd because I've heard nothing but great things. Nothing.
I'm going to send him a message. I'm dear friends with him and his family and say, hey, man, Larry's straight up guy. Do it. But I don't even know if he's ever done something like this. I
love it. I love that answer. I love Wallace and T. Floyd. Okay. Obedience.
I want to say Terry Arnold, who was a big influence in me in obedience early on, who does nothing to do with IGP or Schutzen. She's an AKC woman. Big influence 20 years ago on me. But now my answer is Bridget Carlson.
I love that. I love Bridget. I love watching her work.
Yeah, obedience, Bridget Carlson.
Yeah, I love watching her work, man. My goodness. Okay, protection.
Oh, man, protection. I don't know. Protection. It depends because there's new schools and old school ways of training everything. One of my favorite, you know what? I'm going to throw it out there. A German judge, retired judge friend of mine, Elmar Manis. Only the old IGP guys will know who he is. Wonderful, wonderful man. Taught me a lot about protection work. Trained a lot of strong dogs in his day. So not even from America. Old German guy, Elmar Manis.
Give me one more from America.
From America. Oh, I got to give an American. Oh, crap. Son of a gun. Okay, let me think here. You know, it's not hard for me because there are none. It's hard for me because there's so many.
Yeah, exactly. I get it.
Oh, protection. You know what? My own helper, Chris Oakwind. My own helper who works my dogs when I'm not working them. Chris Oakwind.
There you go. What do you feed your dogs?
When they're not training using their bill jack, they are on Origin with the daily goodies that I put in it, which would be Vertex, which is a supplement you can get, Canine Vertex, Power Boost, and then maybe an egg from my chickens out back, maybe a little coconut oil, maybe a little whatever, cottage cheese, yogurt, whatever I got laying around for the special of the day.
What's the biggest mistake pet dog trainers are making today because of social media mostly?
Well, for one, I don't believe they're educating the client like you do. That's one thing, man. Like, I like reading your little posts and your memes and stuff because you always say shit that I'm like, why did I never say that to a client? You know, it's like, that just hit home with me. Jesus Christ, am I that? And I'm like, that is perfect. They're not educating the client. The dogs are freaking easy. Don't try to sell a 1 week board and train. You're going to fix everything. Educate the client. Once you educate the client, everything else will come. The dogs are easy.
I love that, and thank you, Dave. I appreciate that a great deal. So you started roughly 20 years ago, right? 20, 21, 22 years ago. What's the biggest difference between then and now?
In training or in like?
Yeah.
The training's evolved. The training is absolutely evolved. I think when I look back, I was probably one of the first working dog guys in the IGP world to be using a clicker right around the time Michael and Ivan were coming on the scene. Well, no, they were. Ivan's always been on the scene. Michael was never a big competitor, but it was probably the early 2000s where we were kind of doing this boost of more progressive type training. But it's not progressive. It's exactly what, you know, Skinner and everybody was doing back then. We were just applying, you know, a more modern approach to the training. As the rules in the dog sports were getting better, we had to get better.
Sure.
You know, I could almost go through a history of, you know, the rules and what it used to look like and stuff like that. So, okay, they said, we don't want to see no pressure. Well, we better figure out a way where the dog's not showing pressure, but it's reliable, right?
Sure.
We don't want this. We don't want that. That made our training get better. We had to. It wasn't a choice, right? We're like, well, if I want to beat Ivan, I've got to do this. Or if I want to beat Wallace, if I want to beat T, I've got to progress my training, right? It could never end. And I think that's something that was, thank God that dog sport kind of changed and brought that. So
yeah,
for sure, the whole look of everything and training is progressive.
Will Corley wants to know what made you want to become. Where'd you go, Dave? What are you doing? What are you doing? Come on back, Dave. Come on back. Come on back. All right, Dave will be right back on, guys. Okay. That's the bad thing with these lives. Depends where you live, how good the service is. But guys, I can't stress to you enough. I'm a fan of Dave's. Like, I think he is at the top of the world, top of the dog training world. That's who I want to strive to be. $10 a month. Get on his channel. You won't be disappointed. I promise you. You won't be disappointed. I'm a student of dog training, and I'm telling you, you won't be disappointed. Here he is. He's coming back on. He's coming back on. All right, Dave. I was promoting you while you were gone.
Larry, I am here.
All right. Will Corley wants to know, what made you want to become a dog trainer, Dave? What made you want to become a dog trainer?
I'm here. Last time. I had to tell that freaking person to stop calling me.
What made you want to become a dog trainer? Will Corley asked you that.
What made me want to become a trainer? Well, I grew up with dogs, which a lot of us probably did.
Sure.
And believe it or not, I was in a very lucrative career prior to this. I was in the music industry. I went to school for music. Up until probably 1997, I was a professional musician, playing in a studio musician, doing commercials, television, movies, played with some very major bands, did side projects and stuff like that. And, one morning I just woke up, said I wanted to change careers, and I didn't know how to do anything else. And I said, I guess let me be a dog trainer. I kind of like that. And that's what happened.
Okay. Adam Katz wanted me to ask you about your music career. Okay. What did you play? What did you do? How the hell did you get into that?
Larry, can you hear me okay? Just give me a thumbs up because you're breaking up
sure.
again. Okay.
Sure. Yep.
I was a drummer percussionist. That's what I went to college for. I play hand drums and percussion and drum set. And so I guess was the question, how did I get into music?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, hell, man. I'm a 15, 16-year-old pimple-faced teenager. What else gets the girls, right? Come on, man.
Who's your favorite band of all time?
Not a fair question because I listen to many different genres of music. I have an associate's degree in jazz performance. I love world music. I love Americana. I love old country. So I can't answer. That's like saying, what do you like, a German Shepherd or Malinois better?
Dude, you're killing. You said world music. Do you know who the Gypsy Kings are?
Oh, damn it. You're breaking up. We may have to redo this in another week or two when I'm on Wi-Fi.
Gypsy Kings. You hear me okay?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you fine.
I am not hearing you. Okay. All right. I hear you. You're kind of breaking up like slow motion.
That sucks. Who's some of your favorite musicians?
Two of my favorite musicians?
A few.
Charlie Parker.
I don't even know who that is.
Charlie Parker, saxophone player from the bebop area back in, I believe, the 40s. Another favorite musician, Waylon Jennings.
Nice. Nice.
We could talk about some jazz guys. Chick Corea, another piano player. Herbie Hancock, Art Blakey. We go into some other country stuff. David Allan Coe. I like a lot of outlaw country. Willie Nelson.
Whoa, Dave, hold on right there. Hold on right there. You're talking to a city guy from New Jersey. David Allan Coe literally got me into country music.
Well, I mean, everyone should know who David Allan Coe is.
David Allan Coe got me into country music. One of my favorite clients of all time is a writer for David Allan Coe out of Nashville.
No kidding. Awesome.
Yes,
awesome.
Mr. Gary Gentry. Gary, if you see this, I love you, brother. He wrote The Ride for David Allan Coe, one of my favorite songs of all time. Man, dude, you're awesome. I love you.
And tell you what, DAC is getting up there in age. He's not going to be with us, I have a feeling, too much longer. So if you get a chance to see him, check him out, man.
Listen, I've country music has been good to me in Nashville. I
Oh,
mean,
absolutely, 100%.
really good to me. They have treated me well. I have a lot of clients in the country music industry. People that I were complete fans of are now clients and friends, and I can't.
Awesome.
That blows me away. I mean, to this day, it blows me away. I love it. I absolutely love it. Listen, we're a little over an hour. I don't want to keep you on all night, Dave. I can't thank you enough. I appreciate you
Oh,
in
thank
this.
you. Thank you. And I apologize for all the technical stuff. Like I
No,
said, it's tough kind of way out here in the woods and that type of thing.
listen, there's a few people that I put on a pedestal that I look up to in this industry, and you're definitely one of them.
Thank
I
you
mean,
much.
you are one of them, and I think you are what this industry needs, both working dog and pet dog side of things. And that's always my goal, to get the pet dog side of people to follow people like you, not me. I want them following people like
Oh
you
no,
and learn.
listen, I follow you, so right, like
But
it's a circle, it's a full circle.
I appreciate you, Dave. I think you're absolutely fantastic. I'm a client, I'm a fan, I'm a student. And
Awesome.
I hope more people jump onto that. And this industry is what I love. I love the art, I love the craft, and I think you're one of the best artists we have. And I just want more pet dog people to jump on and understand what you are and who you are and what you do. And
Thank you so much.
if I can get a few people coming that way, $10 a month, people. If you're not signing up for his page, I have to unfriend you. I have to. You're an idiot.
It's
I
10
have
bucks
to.
a day at Starbucks. Come on, right?
Nah, you're the man, Dave. And listen, I retire in February. I'm going to be traveling a lot. I got a bunch of seminars lined up already. I'd love to come visit you. I'd love to
Come on
learn
down,
from
man.
you.
We'll
You
go eat
know,
some good food down in Austin.
that's what I'm talking about. I'd love, love, love to learn from you. I might even, I've always had the itch to get into IGP a little bit. I may even push that way, and you're one of the first people that I will meet with.
We got to
To
find you a dog. We got to find you a dog,
that's
man.
that's it, brother. That's it. That's what I'm talking about. But listen, Dave, I can't thank you enough for doing this. I think you'll inspire a lot of people tonight. I really do.
All right. Thank you again, Larry. It's great being here.
You got it, brother. Peace. Have a good
Peace,
night,
man.
Dave.
Good
Bye
night.
bye.